many people in the world today that are looking for meaning and purpose in their lives, searching for something or someone to fulfill a longing in their hearts. They sense that there is something missing from their lives, but they aren't really sure what it is. So they're constantly searching for the next big thing, new religious experiences, new philosophies, all to help them make sense of their world and their daily life. Now, when we meet people like this, these seekers, it's tempting for us to start wringing our hands and worried about the state of the world, saying, oh, this is something new, the world's all falling apart, and it's so much worse than it was in the past when everybody believed like we did. But our reading from Acts this morning reveals a different reality. Paul has been traveling around, proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ, and along the way, he's upset some people. He was driven from Thessalonica and Berea, accused of turning the world upside down. And now we find him in Athens, waiting for his colleagues to join him. And while he waits, he walks around the city, taking in the sights, if you will, perhaps getting a sense of who these Athenians are and what they believe. And as he explores, he notices there are a lot of shrines and idols to all sorts of gods and goddesses. And he even finds one to an unknown God. So two things stand out to him here. First, the Athenians are a religious people. And secondly, they want to cover all their bases. Because you see, for them, religion isn't so much about having a personal knowledge of and experience with the one true God. It's more about seeking and securing. So they seek out all these different gods and try to meet their needs. Just in case any of the well-known ones fail them, they've got that shrine to the unknown God to make sure there's some security in their life. They're trying to make sense of their world, trying to understand why bad things happen and how best to please or appease these deities so that their life might be better off. They sense that something's missing, so they spend time discussing all sorts of new ideas, new religions, and gods, and trying to fill the void that they feel inside. Now, Paul recognizes this longing in the Athenians, this need to worship and to know the truth, but he also sees that they're looking in all the wrong places. You see, it seems that even the ancient Athenians had the same problem that we see around us today. People are seeking. They're searching for something more in their lives. God has placed within the heart of every human being a longing. And this longing is meant to lead us to Him, to drive us to a relationship with our Creator. But some people get sidetracked along the way. They recognize the longing. They know that something is missing, and they begin to search for whatever it is that will fulfill this empty spot inside them. But instead of seeking the one true living God, they search for meaning, for security, or peace, or health, or happiness, thinking that's going to fill that longing. Some people seek a sense of belonging in a family and say, that'll make me feel better. Others look for fame or fortune, and others go the opposite way and say, oh, if I just simplify my life, then this emptiness that's deep inside me will be filled and it'll go away. In many ways, people today are no different from those ancient Athenians. They're seeking the same things the Athenians were. Now, seeking isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it shows that a person cares about a deeper meaning to life. And certainly some quests for meaning are nobler than others, but some quests are rather shallow, and they don't yield any deep satisfaction. So when that happens, a person seeks one thing, then realizes, that doesn't fulfill me like they had hoped, so they begin another quest for yet something else. And they go through their whole life seeking and never finding. Now often these are people who maybe seek fame or fortune or money, possessions, power. And those things might satisfy in the short time, but they don't endure. Unfortunately, we Americans, we tend to be pretty good at following these shallower quests. We're bombarded with ads every day that tell us if we only get this new car, or we use this beauty product, or we lose this much weight, or we look this way, then we'll be fulfilled. But all these things are really nothing more than false idols. They promise fulfillment, but they can never really deliver on that promise. Now, to be fair, there are some people who are truly searching for an experience of the divine. And they seek God in all sorts of places and experiences. These are the ones that you see trying every new religious fad and experience to somehow fill that void they feel in their soul. I've heard of people and seen them who drive around in a car with a lucky rabbit's foot hanging from their rearview mirror, a bobblehead Buddha on their dashboard, a Sacred Heart air freshener, and a Darwin fish with the feet emblem on their trunk. These are people who are seeking, but they're seeking in all sorts of directions. It's sort of like a shotgun approach, where they hope to hit something that will work for them, versus a rifle that's focused and knows what it's aimed at. They're like the Athenians. They're trying to cover all the bases, hoping that some God along the way will look favorably upon them. On the other hand, there are all those people who are all about the experience. These are the ones who seek the highest high, the biggest vehicle, the most extreme sport, the most sordid confession on a TV reality show. They follow a cult of experience. Unfortunately, we sometimes fall into this search for the next big religious thing, the next big religious experience in church. There are people who feel that unless they experience mountaintop emotions every time they come to worship or pray, it really wasn't worship. It doesn't count. If people don't feel something, if they don't laugh or cry, they feel as if they haven't been in the presence of the divine. And so they hop around from church to church to church to church, seeking that experience over and over, and they never settle in somewhere to go deeper in their faith, to move beyond emotionalism to a grounding in faith that is based on trust in God's presence in their lives, in both the low times and the high times. People are searching. They're seeking for God in all sorts of places and in all sorts of experiences. Paul understood this, and he used it to proclaim the gospel to the Athenians. In the same way, we need to recognize that this longing is still out there in our world. We need to see it in our own lives and the lives of our neighbors and family members. And we need to name it for them for what it is: idolatry. Because anything that we worship apart from God is nothing more than a false idol created by man. Paul recognized this, and he proclaimed that truth to the Athenians. Likewise, we are called to proclaim this truth today. Paul told the Athenians to stop looking for a God that's far away and difficult to find. Instead, he told them, God is close by. Now, what if we were to take Paul's advice ourselves? if we were to recognize that longing in us, that longing for meaning and happiness and belonging and peace, is really about God at work within our own souls, rather than seeking to fulfill the desire, maybe all we need to do is recognize that what we feel is God calling us to a deeper walk with Him, a deeper walk with Christ. And perhaps when we can see God's handiwork in our own lives, then we will be better able to see it in the lives of others, and to be able to proclaim His presence to them, to help those seekers find what will really fulfill them. And in this way, we can say with Paul that in God we live and move and have our being, and others will encounter the reality of God in their lives. Amen.